And I believe this is our final group of candidates. We have the Republican ballot for sheriff. We have Jason Butler, Chris Strickland, David Monte, and Ronnie Ivey. You folks will make your way to the stage. And while these folks are getting up here and getting comfortable, fellas, there's water in the cooler. Someone submitted a question for the candidates. There's no name. Did anybody submit a question for the sheriff? Okay. Thank you all for voting this evening. All of these offices are very important. I will tell you this as an old historian in North Carolina politics. If you know anything about North Carolina politics, in the 100 counties in North Carolina, the sheriff has traditionally been the single most powerful political office in every single county. So every race here is important, but seems to be a lot of particular interest around the sheriff's race, and that's probably a large reason why. We're going to discuss the responsibility of why these folks feel they are deserving of your vote and your confidence. Mr. Ivey, is that you down there?
Yes.
Going to give you the opportunity first we'll start on that end of the table, step out of the box. Give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us the cornerstones of your platform and why you deserve the vote.
Thank you. My name is Ronnie Ivey. I am running for sheriff of Scotland County. I have 31 years, a little over 31 years of law enforcement experience, both here and Robeson County Sheriff's Office. My career started after high school, graduate here at '89. I went to the Navy for 4 years. After completing the Navy 4 years, I began my law enforcement journey. I started out with the Laurinburg Police Department, worked 13 years with the Laurinburg Police Department. I moved over in 07 to the Sheriff's Office. I worked 16 years with the Sheriff's Office. After that, I moved to the Robeson County Sheriff's Office, where I currently am employed as a major crimes detective. I am third generation law enforcement here at Scotland County Sheriff's Office. My father and my grandfather were both deputies here at the Sheriff's Office. It's in my blood. It's a calling. I'm not running for this office of sheriff for a title. I'm running to continue my calling in law enforcement. I believe that safety is paramount. I want to be a sheriff that supports our deputies, supports our communities, the safety of our communities, and with your prayers and support and vote, I will be your next sheriff of Scotland County. Thank you.
Mr. Strickland.
Glad y'all could join us this evening. My name is Chris Strickland. I'm a candidate for the Republican Party for Sheriff of Scotland County. I started my law enforcement career with the city of Laurinburg. I have been in law enforcement for 30 years now. 26 of that was with Laurinburg Police Department, where I was well trained. Some of these guys are in the background back there, good guys. At that time, I started out in patrol, moved my way up to narcotics and gang investigations. All the way up to a patrol lieutenant. As taken up with a patrol lieutenant, I took the Explorer post, which provided a lot of young officers that came through. It's sort of like a thing of the Boy Scouts. From there, I moved over to the Sheriff's Department, where I'd done 2 years, and now I'm currently employed by First Health as their company police supervisor. Part of my platform is I want to implement change for the better for the community. More officers on the streets, more aggressive patrols on the narcotics areas that we're having for the fentanyl and the break-ins that we're having, and safety for all the community. At this time, I think we have currently 3 to 4 cars on the road at the time. I would like to see those numbers move up to 4 to 5 and be able to take care of the community the way it should be taken care of.
Mr. Monte.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Monte. First off, I'd like to thank God for the opportunity to be here. I'm running for sheriff of Scotland County because I believe law enforcement must be rooted in the community it serves. For too long, we've seen a gap between the badge and the citizens. I'm not running for power or prestige. I'm running to create a department that serves with empathy, fairness, and absolute transparency. As your sheriff, my priority is not just to make arrests, but to make our neighborhoods feel safe, valued, and heard. I will bring a servant's heart to this office, working to restore trust, rebuild moral, and ensure every voice in this county matters. I know we have a bad drug problem in this county, terrible. I feel like that's one of our main concerns. I feel like we definitely need to open up our office. I mean, I don't want to step on nobody's toes or hurt nobody or make anybody feel any type of way, but I feel like you should have an open door policy where anybody in this community can come in and speak. I'm not saying it should be every day, but at least one day a week where people can come in and voice the concerns of what's going on. And I do think we need to work with the county commissioners to get a better budget so we can get more patrol cars on and protect more of the county and the citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Monte, before Mr. Butler
Yes.
speak, just real quick, as the other two candidates did, and I know Jason as well, tell us a little bit about your law enforcement experience.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of law enforcement experience, but I've been head security at our church for 7 years. I've worked at the beach with the Boys and Girls Club. I've been on the other side of law enforcement, but never on the side of law enforcement. But I know how it is to be on both sides. You know, I know that I can make a change in this county. I feel like if I could sit up here all day and say, yeah, I'm gonna build my platform on running for drugs. I'm gonna build my platform and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take the fentanyl and the drugs out of the county. But how can I say that and build it on that if I've been in law enforcement for 20-something years and the drugs are overwhelming in the county as we see right now? I mean, literally, I don't even know if we're supposed to go this deep, but
We'll get, if you've got something else, we'll get back to you. Thank you. Mr. Butler.
I'm Jason Butler, and I am running, as these other guys are, for the office of sheriff. I'm a lifelong resident of Scotland County. My wife and I are co-owners of a small business in here, and I'm heavily invested in this county. My main priority is the safety, security, and well-being for all residents of Scotland County. If elected as sheriff, I want to continue to build on the strong foundation of community programs that we have at the sheriff's office currently, and I'm looking for more no-cost and low-cost programs to add to that. That being said, some of those programs could be implemented into the detention facility. One of them would be like a drug treatment for people that come in and in our custody for a while. The drug problem in Scotland County, as you know, is bad. Like somebody said earlier, it probably touched every family in here. So that would be one of the programs to add to it in the detention facility. I'm going to advocate for better pay for our deputies and detention center officers. Currently, we're a stepping stone for a lot of deputies to come through. They go on to higher paying jobs at different agencies that surround us. Our detention officers right now are underpaid. They can go to Richmond County next door and make quite a bit more money, but we're short-staffed there. We're on the state minimum, and that's based on a 109-bed facility. And currently, we got 162 people in the detention facility. That's 40 inmates per detention officer. It's dangerous. Somebody's going to get hurt. We need to add to our narcotics division because here again, we're short with the mental issue and the drug issue. One or two guys cannot handle that, and that'll be one thing we have to do for.
Thank you very much. There's not been a group of candidates up here tonight who didn't talk about budget and money. So give you a chance to rest. We'll start with Mr. Monte. Everybody here has talked about programs, talked about ways to enhance law enforcement to keep her safer. How do you do that with less? We all know as citizens here that budget, especially with the sheriff's department, has been a major concern and a conversation in our community. How do you do more with less? What are your ideas?
I mean, you're gonna have to continue to do what we're doing, work longer and harder. I mean, you're gonna have to continue to go out and serve the community and do programming. It all falls back on the county commission. That's, I mean, no matter what we talk about, it's gonna fall back on getting the budget approved. We can sit up here all day and talk about what kind of programs we're gonna get, but it's all gonna come back when the county commission is approving the budget that the sheriff's department needs to run efficiently. I mean, it just has to. I mean, that's the only way we're gonna do it. It ain't gonna happen. One person can't make a change. It takes a whole community, you know, so it falls back on the officials that are higher, that approve the budget, that's where we're gonna get the funds from to be able to run it. I mean, we can go out to other sources and source it, but then you know the over favor program, you get something from the state, again, you got all these specificities and all these things that go on with it. I mean, it ain't worth it when we have the money right here in our own county for the second highest taxes in the state. We should have a decent approved budget for our sheriff department.
Thank you very much. Chris, if I heard you correctly a minute ago, you talked about you'd like to see more of them. You had 3 cars on the road, you need to have 4 or 5. Was it you who said that? How do you pay for that? If we're struggling to pay for what we have now, what do you propose we do to make more with less?
Well, you're going to actually have to sit down with the commissioners, and work out a budget. There's some fat in that agency that you can trim to actually put more officers on the road within different offices. But the main focus would be working with commissioners on getting a budget passed to where we could add a few more cars to the roadway. Yes.
Ronnie, same question. Have you seen examples where we could do more with less?
Well, first of all, each officer goes through a training program. With years' experience, there's officers there that can share their experience and training with the rising deputies that come on board new. Yes, I'd love to see an increase in pay as well as everyone. But until that happens, it can't happen overnight. Until that happens, the higher ranked officials need to step down and properly train the officers to do the job that we're here to do to protect the citizens of Scotland County. Each officer goes through a training program. With the limited officers on the road, that training program sometimes gets cut short. Well, that's a hindrance to the safety of the officer itself. And if the officer don't receive proper training, how can they protect the citizens of Scotland County? So the officers in the offices need to get out of the offices and properly train the upcoming and new recruits that's coming on board.
Give you all a chance just to catch your breath for a second. I'm going to throw this out there. There's nothing that makes me happier than cooking and bringing joy to people with food. I've always thought I'd love to run a restaurant. Then one day I realized that running a restaurant has nothing to do with cooking for people. You've all talked about, I said that to say this, you've all talked about your law enforcement experience, but I'm interested to know because it seems to me that the sheriff's office has very, very little to do with law enforcement and more to do with building relationships. You talked about working with county commissioners, managing personnel. Talk to us about your leadership style, about your experience in those areas. We all know that you're capable and have some type of experience in law enforcement. What type of experience do you have in managing and leading others and working together with community decision makers? And I'll let you start, Jason.
So, over the past 28 years working with the city of Laurinburg and the police department there for the first 16, before I went to the sheriff's office, I was in leadership there. I was a road lieutenant. Coming up to the sheriff's office, I held management positions. Been a part of the budget process every year when we sit down and discuss what we need. But we'll go back to something that was said just a minute ago. Everything cannot be put on the county commissioners because that comes back to the taxpayers. what we need to do is we need to look for outside funding for, as grants. It's important decisions we make as far as our representatives in the House and get money back to the county to, help fund the sheriff's office and the county in general. But, I personally have experience with a lot of outside organizations, community organizations where, I do a lot, musically. I donate a lot of time in planning for these organizational events. Live Like Madison's one, if you don't know anything about that organization, it's well run, and you learn to come together and work, and if you can get that spirit of togetherness, or whatever you want to call it, you can see this crowd come together, and they take a little bit and do a lot with it, and it just inspires others. So that's the thing, you have to build the relationships in the communities and with other people to make that happen. But you got to involve the schools, you got to involve your students, you got to involve your churches and the neighborhoods, because the neighborhood people, they're the ones who know what is going on and guide you in the right directions as far as what needs to be done and where you can get some of your funding sources.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna jump over to you, Chris. We'll just,
So I'm gonna start out with one that Mr. McRae used, a baseball team or a football team. You always elect a captain, somebody that actually is the ball player's ball player, to actually go out and lead this team to a victory. Over my career, I have, for the last 20 years, been the supervisor and trained K-9 teams, SWAT teams, and across agencies throughout the state. And if you think about a dog bite is actually, how many zeros do you want to put it behind it when you're training a handler on what they do with a dog? It's going to take a leader to actually run this agency and turn it around. I think that I'm that leader.
thank you very much. David, if I may call you David.
Well, I've been working with Duke Energy for several years. I'm a foreman. I run a crew of 18 men. We go all around. We build nuclear and steam turbines. We never have no issue. I also started a youth department at a local church here in 2019. I teach every other Sunday. We went from 9 kids to we got almost 70. You know, and every other Sunday I teach almost 30 youth. I'm pretty good at getting things together, but when they're talking about cutting budget, how do you even begin to cut budget when the jailhouse is already falling apart? We don't have the programs there. You got underpaid officers. You just finally got new cars. So how do you make budget cuts there? And then we get back to the drugs. They talk about the fentanyl. Well, here we are. In the past 4 years, you realize we had 813 dispatched EMSs to ODs in our county, where 687 of them reported that they had to be hit with narcon. And in them amount of years, there was 57 people died. You understand COVID was a pandemic and it only killed 170 people in Scotland County, but yet we have a drugs where there's 813 in 4 years. If you break that down in 208 weeks, that's 4 ODs a week. I mean, we have a problem. It's a pandemic. And that's like me saying, well, I'm a heart surgeon, but my heart failures, I think 13 people died upon me in the past 3 months. Well, I don't want you working on my heart. Yeah, so you can't build it on that if it's not working. Yeah, you have to make a change. Somebody has to make a change in this county. I mean, and it starts with the people. It starts with the votes. It starts with personnel. It starts with being able to bring people in and talk to them and have an open door. You know how much you can learn just from people coming in, talking to you, expressing their opinions, telling you what's going on across the street, what the people are doing down the road here, what's going on. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Monte. Ronnie, your experience as a leader and why you think you have those skills to bring to the sheriff's department.
I believe that leadership comes with proper training that you can share with the upcoming officers to make sure that they have the the necessary knowledge to do the job more effectively. I moved up through the ranks from deputy at the sheriff's office, from deputy, sergeant, lieutenant, captain. I've seen a lot, I've done a lot. I don't know everything there is to know about law enforcement. If you ever find anyone that says they do, they need to get out of the job. But what I do know in law enforcement, I know it well because I took the time to learn it and it's embedded in me. As your sheriff, I will make sure that my deputies have the proper training, and I will make sure that they can provide the services needed to support the safety of the citizens of Scotland County. There will be more proactive patrols. They will be hitting the drug areas hard. And as far as the jails itself, there's a lot of repeat offenders in the jails. I will work with the outside resources to come in and provide counseling where needed to put a stop to recidivism with repeat offenders. There's a substance abuse problem dramatically in Scotland County and surrounding counties. There's a mental health problem. I will work with outside resources to offer proper training, guidance, to put a stop to the issues that's causing a lot of the crimes in Scotland County.
Thank you. Mr. Monte, this question comes from Ms. Harriet Jackson. Ms. Harriet, where are you? Ms. Harriet's back there. She asked this question, and I'm going to start with you because you mentioned this just a minute ago. She said that Scotland County, neither the Scotland County Sheriff's Department nor the city has hired a juvenile officer with the juvenile crime, and we heard the school folks talking about it. Everyone's focused on our youth as they should be. What solutions do you have to better serve the juveniles in our system and the juveniles that we're having to deal with and juvenile crime? What do you propose for that?
I mean, I've actually spoke to some local pastors, and they agreed that they would actually come in and speak to the juveniles that was locked up and incarcerated. And I think it all starts with God first. You know, people told me when I was going to run for Sheriff, David, you're crazy. But I believe in God first and foremost. I put him first in everything I do. Word of God says, with God, all things is possible. So I believe if we can reach the kids when they're in the streets and struggling, listen, anybody in here can make a difference. When I was a kid, you know, well, some of my friends and us would be at the basketball court or playing, and they come up, they catch him with some weed, they take it, the cops stop it on the ground, push it out, and let them go. You make a relationship and a bond with that kid. But then now, well, we got him, he got a half ounce, we're gonna slander him. Who did you really hurt? I mean, literally, you hurt the kid that's on the football team in Scotland that got caught with a half ounce, that could have got out of the county, that had a scholarship. I mean, there's so many things in there. I mean, we lack a lot in this community for our youth. I mean, if we can just catch our youth, and that's where, if we can catch our youth, we can break the cycle. We can make a change. You know, I mean, I love the youth, I'm for the youth. When God laid it on my heart to start the youth department, I went hard first and foremost. I mean, I go hard every Sunday for my youth. And we do a lot of outreaches in the community. We do our clothes service. We do our backpack service. I mean, we're always giving back to our youth. And I feel like you bring a pastor in to talk to them, just by having somebody speak to them and build a relationship and a bond with them, it can make a big difference.
Ronnie, we'll give you the opportunity. How would you address the juvenile problem in our community?
Well, first and foremost, it starts in the home. The parents need to step up, and they need to properly train their kids on the resistance of drugs, violence. And then once they get into the school systems, the schools need to properly train the students along with their academic curriculum. School resource officers, that's a big part of schools. I would like to see at least 2 per school resource officers for the safety of the schools and the staff, students and the staff. There are programs that's been in the past, the DARE program, Drug Awareness Resistance Education. I'd like to see that come back. I will fight for that to come back. As far as the gun violence, there's a lot of youth that are shooting up people, shooting up houses, all kind of crimes with guns. I'm a firm believer of gun control. I'm a firm believer of responsible people owning guns. But I am going to be a strong sheriff as far as cutting back on, on enforcing the laws on taking the guns out of the criminal hands. I will make an example of the ones that commit crimes with guns, along with working with the court systems to make sure that the proper punishment's placed on them instead of just a slap on the wrist and getting back out. Thank you.
Chris, we're here for you.
Did I hear that question correct, though, that neither Laurinburg Police or Scotland County Sheriff's had a juvenile detective?
Again, I'm quoting that from Ms. Jackson, who asked the question.
Okay. Ms. Jackson, Laurinburg PD does have a investigator, be Sergeant or Lieutenant Sean Chavis. I think they also rely on their school resource officers as well as the Sheriff's Department does to double into that. I would like to see them put more into that as far as into the DARE part of it when they're teaching it in the classrooms. And also I would like to rely on Ms. Adams and some teen court to help change some of that.
And Jason?
So, the juvenile officer, as I remember, and I'm sure Chris does, is Duke Williams. He was one for the Laurinburg Police Department, done an excellent job over the years. He got really involved with the kids. But that's days gone by, and we do now rely on our school resource officers. I would love to have more resource officers in the school as well, but right now, the school system is the one who funds the resource officers for us at the Sheriff's Office. I don't know what to do for the city, but so that's going to play a part with them. We have the Scots for Youth program and some of these other civic organizations that have little programs here or there. Teen court was mentioned. We need, and I heard it the other day, I think Kirk Lowry talked about the Boys and Girls Club that's getting ready to be built out on 401 South. It will be open for every kid in Scotland County. So that's one place that kids can go to and have these events and organizations, safe environment, and get, study and play and all that sort of stuff. If it comes down to it down the road and our county commissioners can work it out, one use for St. Andrews could be with the pool and the basketball courts and all that sort of stuff, would build some sort of youth center there. But that's a big if, and we all know it's the biggest two-letter word in the dictionary. But things of that nature is what I would look for.
This question, there's actually several on here from Commissioner Fozell. I'm going to go straight to the one that caught my attention, and here's your opportunity. Commissioner Fozell says, if you could make any one request of the county commissioners, you have their attention. There's several in the audience, several that want to be county commissioners. If you could ask them, we've talked about working together with the commissioners, what would you ask the commissioners for? And I'll start with you, Jason.
It's a two-part thing, brother. And it goes back to funding. I want pay raises for our deputies and detention officers. And I want more deputies allocated to our shifts. We've been working with 4 people on the patrol shift for the past 30 years. Now, same way with the detention center, we're at the state minimum. But in order to get those people, we're going to have money for recruitment and retention of what we already have. That's my request. However y'all figure to do it, whether it's outside sources funding, grant funding, I just would be very leery of grant funding because, as you know, grants, a lot of time they pay 100% one year and They gradually reduce every year until you're stuck with it. And I don't want to have to hire someone, and then at the end of the third year or fourth year, we don't have the funding to keep them. But people and salaries, my request.
And in fairness to Commissioner Frizell, the question, you touched on a couple of things that he asked in the question, and it was, you mentioned earlier, as you were speaking about incentives to keep deputies from going to other higher paying organizations. What incentives would you offer and to keep folks from leaving? And I think you just touched on that with pay raises. You didn't say anything about signing bonuses, but it sounds like you're asking for more money from all of those things.
Sign-on bonuses, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're great, but a lot of places, when they do them, we'll offer you a $6,000 sign-on bonus. I think the prison's $10,000. I could be off with that, but the people get that money and they pay it in increments, and then all of a sudden, once they reach that magic number, whatever it is, $5,000, $10,000, it's gone, and then the people have learned to live off of that, and all of a sudden go, where's my money? I've seen that happen, so that's just my thoughts on it.
We'll go to Mr. Monte. What, if you were elected sheriff, what would you ask the commissioner?
I would ask them to approve a substantial budget that we could run the sheriff department off also. And I think the deputies are very underpaid. I think I was looking at it the other day, it says Scotland County is paying $43,000 a year. I mean, you can go to the state and drive a dump truck for $45,000. So you have somebody driving a dump truck and you have people that's out there risking their life in the community making less money. So I would ask them, and then I would also ask them to figure out if we could get a budget to fix the jailhouse up. I knew it costs millions of dollars to tear one down, but it costs only a percentage of that to remodel it and bring it up into decent shape, you know.
Chris?
I would be along the same lines. I'd ask for pay raises for jailers and deputies and extra deputies. But I think part of that would be me starting an Explorer program with the sheriff's office and trying to recultivate in our own community again, bringing people from our community back into an agency that they love, a home that they love to work in.
It goes without saying, a raise in pay for the deputies. To keep the deputies here, instead of getting out of BLET, which is basic law enforcement training, coming to this agency, not getting the pay that surrounding counties are getting, and then they leave in a short bit of time to go to make more money. So that, first and foremost, is a raise in pay. The jail has unfinished space that needs to be completed. I would ask for the commissioners to get the funding to complete the jail so that the the inmates will not have to sleep on top of each other per se, because they have rights just like the non-criminals. And just because they committed a crime, they still are human, and they have rights in the jail, so they need to have adequate space to live, and that's what two main things I would ask for the county commissioners.
Thank you. Ms. Casey, any questions for this candidate?
Pretty much all of you guys spoke about the issue with drugs and overdoses in this county. Many county departments in this region, whether that be sheriffs or local city PD, have implemented a program called LEAD, Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion, where low-level drug offenders are funneled into treatment services rather than jails. How do you guys feel about that kind of program being implemented at the Scotland County Sheriff's Department, or how would you treat low-level drug offenders to ensure that they're accessing treatment rather than going into an overcrowded jailhouse already?
Ronnie?
I think it's
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Mentoring from outside agencies like civic groups, having preachers come into the jails to counsel and mentor the drug users, to try to come up with different resources and solutions to getting them off of drugs. drugs is a big problem in Scotland County and surrounding counties. As far as the court systems, I believe that the court systems need to put stiffer penalties on drug offenders that get caught with drugs and charged, because they're not learning a lesson through the court system, because they're not having stiff penalties and punishment enforced on them. So that's the biggest thing, is to work with the court systems to crack down on these drug offenders.
So are you meaning the user itself or the dealer? That's trying to qualify.
The user.
Okay. Working at First Health, I've noticed a lot of that coming through now as a supervisor over there, police. You have to offer programs to actually come out and counsel within the community. And there are several people that I've had contact with in the community that are willing to do these programs to work with these people. But at first, they have to want to get off of those drugs to become, where they're okay to be off of drugs. Different penalties with the court system would work, but first-time offenders or the actual user itself, I think a little bit of leverage from the DA's office, making them go through those mandatory, would probably help our community and start bringing a lot of awareness to everything here. As far as the dealers, stiffer penalties.
Mr. Monte?
I also agree. I think that we should offer a program that for people who, first time users, anybody can change, even the second time users. If anybody's willing to change, it don't matter how many times they've done it, because I know people who were strung out for 20 years and now they're clean. So we should have a program that's available and willing, that's offered to anybody who's coming through there that's being charged with drugs. It shouldn't just be the first time users, it should be the second time users, the third time users. It should be offered to anybody who's coming through there that's willing to make the change, and they are asking for help. But now, if you're dealing drugs, yeah, you should definitely get the stiffer penalty.
So I'm in agreement with what they said as well. For our users, there are too many people, and I've known several of them have been police officers who've been injured on the job, went to the doctor, got hooked on an opioid. And that's a little more restricted now coming from doctors, but got hooked on that and we carried 3 of them to the grave. And that's bothering me. But there should be some sort of program, and I've talked to some people, and we have currently in the jail through the company we use for online learning. There is Narcotics Anonymous, there's a 12-step recovery program, all that. But that's them reading from a tab. I need somebody to come in and work with it. And that can be done. Got plenty of volunteers, just some grant money that's going to have to play a part of it. But it's also going to come from our DA's office as well, to work with us and kind of divert some of these cases from the court system as far as from the jail and that sort of punishment to a treatment program. And there are things like that now with like the DART program or whatever, but that's kind of where I would go with that.
Ms. Casey, anything else? Thank you. I want to ask you one last question, and I'm going to tie your hands. One, I'm just going to ask you to give me a quick response. I'm going to give you 2 choices. You make one of the choices, and I'm going to take one of your answers away right now. You can't say it depends on the situation. I'm just going to ask you a straightforward question. And I'm going to ask this question in honor of an old friend of mine, N.W. Quick. Any of you remember N.W.? N.W. Quick used to say, you could give a man a ticket or you could give him a lecture, but you shouldn't give him both. Your basic law enforcement philosophy, did you lean towards giving the ticket or giving the lecture? I'll let you answer first, Jason.
I would lecture them.
Mr. Monte.
I would lecture them.
Chris.
A lot of lecture.
Ronnie.
Lecture.
Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for participating. Thank you all for coming.